This is definitely not how I wanted to start a YouTube channel, especially for motovlogging, because I would have wanted the first video to be about going on the bike and going on trips. Now, the main reason I wanted to start this was because of my bike. So I have a ZXR400. It's a classic bike from 2002, which has the kind of like 90s super sport look, which now it would be considered a sports tourer. I had a lot of issues with the bike anyway. However, somehow the first time I decided to properly record my ride, which was at the Southend Shakedown, the bike decided to blow a hole in its engine for no reason at all, with no foreshadowing. Now, to give you this whole story with the bike and to trace back some bits, I bought the bike in June last summer. And the moment I bought it, on the first ride home, I actually had issues with overheating. I got rejected by 3 mechanics that didn't want to work on carburetors. And in the end, I do find one mechanic that wants to work on it. And the only issue that remained was that I needed to get a new radiator. I waited for that radiator for like a month to come from China. And the moment it came, my mechanic went on holiday for 2 weeks, which was fun. We got the bike running. I had some issues with it, some bolts undone, some issues with the clutch cable, still fine. The first time I decided to actually start recording things properly was at the Southend Shakedown, and things couldn't have gone more wrong. The day started all right. I had a few issues with the bike, the speedometer cable was out, I managed to put that back. I met with one of the girls that I was supposed to ride with, Ali. She was on a Yamaha R125. We met at Alexandra Palace and then we started going towards AceCaf. No problems there. We found the people we should be riding with. We lost the people we should be riding with in the next 5 minutes when we started riding. And somewhere towards Basildon, my bike has decided for whatever reason to make a rattle, but it's the kind of rattle that you would hear when the bike, it literally sounded like it dropped the cylinder. So the ZXR400 is an inline-4. You're definitely well accustomed to the sound of an inline-4 if you know sports bikes. It went from sounding like an inline-4 to sounding like an inline-3 or maybe even a V-twin, which was a bit concerning for me. So I stopped on the left because the sound started maybe like 45 minutes into the ride towards Basildon. And within the 5 minutes it started sounding, it just became worse and worse. I stopped on the left, and as I stopped the bike wouldn't turn on anymore. A few people stopped by, and I really, really appreciate that, because I believe as a rider, one of the worst things that can happen is to actually break down, not have the necessary tools, and not have a way to pick up the bike from there. So the fact that so many people stopped to check on us and to try help us was an amazing thing. We found some guys that had a jump start kit. It didn't really work on the bike, so we jump started the old school way. So some people pushed me while I was in second gear. The first time we jump started, it died. The second time we jump started, I give it a bit more throttle, and there's smoke in the air, oil on the ground. Let's say the least. It didn't sound nice. I basically have 3 options laid down in front of me. I put the bike in the bush and I will ride my friend's 1 to 5. I will call a man with a van to pick up the bike and call my man and ask for help, which is the worst case scenario for an Eastern European woman. But I did call him. And he was there in about an hour. However, in the meantime, we've seen that there was also a hole in the engine. Maybe that's where the oil came from. The next thing we're about to do is, rather than living in the bush, we're just gonna go to a gas station, leave it there because they have cameras, there is someone there all the time. I still managed to get to the shakedown. The only thing I would advise against with that shakedown is, because it's a bank holiday, bear in mind all the restaurants are closed, so the only things that are open and give food are the type of like establishments from which you eat there and then die at home. If you can have food with you, do that, please. After the Southend Shakedown, unfortunately, I wasn't able to find any working engines for a ZXR400. The only options would be to swap it with a 600 engine from a ZX6R, or buy non-working ZXR400 engine and kind of like try to mix and match the parts from each engine. Of course, I'm not qualified to do that, and the quote that I've gotten from a mechanic is basically so high that it's easier for me to buy a new bike. So it's a sad story, it's a funny story. This is how I started this channel. I'm still gonna do a review about the ZXR400. I've had it for like 12 months now, and it is a very, very nice bike. So I'm just gonna do a small review about that. And then I'm gonna get a new bike and I will continue my journey with the next bike. So that's the story. I'll see you on the next episode.